Basic algebra. Solve an equation using the distributive property. Let's look at the first one. Now, anytime I have a number right next to a parentheses, that tells me that I'm going to multiply. So in this one, I know that I'm going to take 5 times everything in the parentheses, and that's the distributive property. So what's that going to look like? Well, it's going to look like 5 times y minus 5 times 2, okay? Now, once again, I have a number next to a parentheses, which means to multiply. And in this case, I have a whole bunch of stuff in my parentheses. So let's use the distributive property. I'm going to take 3 times y plus 3 times 4. Okay, let's simplify. 5 times y is 5y minus 5 times 2 is 10 equals 3 times y is 3y plus 3 times 4 is 12. Now in algebra, we want to get all of the variables or letters on one side and everything else on the other side. I like to get my variables on the left side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides of my equation. Now you're probably wondering, why am I subtracting 3y? Well, let's look here. 5y minus 3y is 2y. Then I have minus 10 equals, now 3y minus 3y is actually 0 plus 12. And that's why I subtracted the 3y. I'm just going to rewrite it because we don't need the 0 in there. Now I have my variable on one side. I need to get all of the numbers not with a variable on the other side. We can also say the opposite of subtracting 10 is adding 10. But we have to keep a balance. Whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other side of the equal sign. So this gives us 2y plus 0 equals 22. Now I'm going to rewrite it. 2y equals 22. Now, when you get good at this, you don't have to put the zeros in there. For right now, I just want to make sure everyone sees what I'm doing. Anytime I have a number next to a letter, that actually means to multiply. And the opposite of multiplying is dividing. Now I divide by whatever is hooked to the letter or the variable, and in this case it's 2. But remember, whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other side. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we're just going to write y. And 22 divided by 2 is 11. Let's check it really quick. I have 5 in parentheses minus 2. Now we think y is 11, so I'm going to put 11 in there. Equals 3 parentheses plus 4, and we think that's 11 too. Orders of operations say we have to do what's in parentheses first, so I need to do 11 minus 2. So I'm going to have 5 times 9, and we hope that equals to 11 plus 4 is 15. Well, 5 times 9 is 45. And 15 times 3, let's see what that is. That's also 45. Yay! So that means, yep, y equals 11. Now it's your turn. So on the other side here, there's one for you to practice. So I'm going to have you pause the video, practice it, and then press play to check. Okay, let's see how you did. The first thing we see is we have a number next to a parentheses, which means we're going to multiply. And in this case, we're going to have to multiply everything in the parentheses by 10. So I'm going to have 10 times x minus 10 times 3 equals, now I have the same thing on the other side. I have a number next to a parentheses, and that tells me that I'm going to multiply. But I have a bunch of stuff in the parentheses, so I have to take 8 times everything in the parentheses. So I'm going to have 8 times x minus 8 times 2. All right, now we need to simplify. Well, 10 times x is 10x, minus 10 times 3 is 30. 8 times x is 8x, and then 8 times 2 is 16. I like all of my variables on the left side and everything else on the other side. So I have a positive 8x. I need to get rid of that. So the opposite of adding 8x is subtracting 8x. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to have 2x minus 30 equals 0 minus 16. Or if you didn't write the 0, this is what you'll have. 2x minus 30 equals negative 16. Either way, we're perfect. Now I want all the numbers on the other side. So the opposite of subtracting 30 is adding 30. So I'm going to add 30 to both sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to have 2x equals, and we're going to have 14. All right. Now I have a number next to a letter. Now that means to multiply. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 2. So it looks like x equals 7. But let's check that just to make sure. And I like to put a parentheses everywhere I have a variable. 8 and another parentheses. And we think our answer is 7. So I'm going to put 7 in for my x's. 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 minus 2 is 5. Well, 10 times 4 is 40. 8 times 5 is 40. Well, look at that. Did you get x equals 7? I know you did. Good job.